What's up, people? Welcome back to the Prism Works. It's me, PrisimBrad, and I'm here with the Backyardigans episode review. Today it's Riding the Range, episode 7. And if you're excited for this, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and now let's get to the video. Alright, so this episode starts off with Tyrone wearing a large black cowboy hat, and he introduces himself as Cowboy Tyrone, who was heading to Texas to attend a large hoedown. He starts to sing Riding the Range as he dances. A little after the song, he finds a jump rope in the sandbox, and he wonders who it belongs to. He shouts hello and wonders if anybody responds. And in the Spanish dub for this, which is on YouTube, I laugh harder than I should. Hearing him shout hello at the top of his lungs, but in this case, hola, hola.
¿Hola? ¡Hola! ¿Alguien perdió una cuerda?
Uniqua and Tasha enter the scene, and they want to play jump rope. But of course, that in cartoon fashion, that was Uniqua's jump rope. So then Pablo enters the scene asking what they're doing, and they're looking for the jump rope. They can't find it. So they see the footprints, well, boot prints that Tyrone left since he was also wearing cowboy boots, and they left marks in the sandbox. So they think there's a bandit on the loose, and they have to track him down, even if they have to go all the way to Texas. Not, not me saying that. That's what they said.
We have to track him down, even if we have to go all the way to Texas. Texas?
So then they decide to start describing the land and saddling up for the Wild West. Lonesome deserts, big cactuses, beautiful western skies. And then we cut to a horse, and Tyrone's riding that horse. He is now off on his journey, and this is where the episode starts getting interesting. Like, this is one of my favorite episodes of the series. I'll get into more of that later. But yeah. So after Tyrone rides off the cliff, we cut back to the trio, who are now also in cowboy hats and bandanas and scarves, and even Tasha's wearing a vest. Like, they're still in their normal outfits, but they have like little nods to it, like vests, scarves. Yeah, you get the idea. And they all have horses now. So yeah, and like I think half the episode, like they're like on their horses, except for like most dance numbers, like during There's an Echo. But what was I? So Unique was riding her horse named Pal, who was like a Palomino. Oh, Tasha riding her horse named Princess, a beautiful white horse, and Pablo's riding his horse named Old Paint. Yeah, it's like an American paint with blotches and everything. So they start to ride down the cliff, but Pablo is a little slow down because Old Paint's like a disobedient, so he has a bit of trouble.
Even all the way to Texas? Yup. That's right. Giddy up, pal. Come on, princess.
Getting him to listen, and throughout the episode, be you ready for most of that. So after he finally gets him to go, they start to sing the reprise of Riding the Range. As honestly, I think this one's not as good as the one that Tyrone sang, but They eventually head into a large red canyon, as with a 20-second explanation about what echoes are, they start to sing the next song, and probably the best song of the episode, which I'll get into during the song portion. But yeah, after a good while of singing, they enter what is the canyon's dead end, and they're finally lost. So they start screaming for help at the bottom of the canyon pit, and lucky for them, Tyrone shows up, and he finally introduces his horse by the name of Harvey. And the trio wonders how they're gonna get out. Thought I heard someone yelling for me. What was I? So Tyrone says that they gotta climb out by using apples. Tyrone shows an apple, and Old Paint climbs up first. Then eventually, Princess and Pal also do. As they thank Cowboy Tyrone, they tell him why like they're out in these parts of the desert chasing a thieving bandit, and they ask if he wants to join them on their journey. But he says he can't because he has to get to the hoedown. So he leaves them in a flash, shockingly. And then they say they lost the bandit tracks. Pablo somehow getting Old Paint to be able to move now. Um, he's able to find the tracks again, And it cuts back to Tyrone, who's now at a stream, which they call a river, but it's more stream like if you look at it. But yeah. So they say they gotta cross it. So Tyrone backs up Harvey and makes a jump over it. Pretty impressive. And he gallops off somewhere. Eventually, the trio also catch up, and they decide to do the same thing. First, Uniqua with a little Yahoo, then Tasha with the same, and then it's Pablo's turn. The girls are encouraging him, and he finally tries. Old Paint goes into like almost a canter gallop, but decides to put himself to halt right then and let Pablo fly off. Honestly, you'd think he'd be holding on to the reins and staying in the saddle, but in this case, there were no stirrups on those saddles to begin with. So, yeah, plus their legs are too short. But yeah, after Pablo has a little panic attack, uh, Tyrone enters the scene with Old Paint by his side. And after a thank you, they ask if he wants to help catch the band again. And, but he says he won't be able to, and he says they won't be able to either because it's getting dark. So they decide to set up camp somewhere. Tasha ties up the horses, and they're all in sleeping bags with their hats off, revealing Pablo is bald, and Tasha for that matter. But um, yeah. Next, it cuts today. Tyrone wakes up first, and he leaves early in the morning after giving Harvey an apple. But as he's walking off with Harvey, as he finally gets on eventually, apples start like falling from his non-existent saddlebag, and Old Paint it makes a weird sputtering sound, probably telling the other horses to follow. Oh, as they each go crunching on apples along the way. And eventually, Tyrone starts singing Texas Here I Come, second best song of the episode. And we cut back to the trio who are now awake, and it's like noon by then. But they find out their horses are not nearby. Right? They're all nervous. Then they see that there are tracks, and they think the bandit stole the horses. And they think that the bandit also captured Cowboy Tyrone, since they clearly forgot that he said he'd be leaving early in the morning. So they decide to follow the tracks. I think the horse tracks probably, and because like there were no apple core trails since the horses ate the apples whole. So then Tyrone makes it to the Texas state line, which is basically just a sign with Texas on it. All right. And then we cut back to the trio who are saying that they need to go faster, but they have no way to because they don't have their horses anymore. So luckily, they find a pump car or a hand car like right there, and they get singing the Texas Here I Come trio version, but Texas Here We Come it's called. And honestly, I think I like this one a little more than Texas Here I Come itself. And like the Western Justice We Defend part hits different. So eventually it cuts back to nighttime again, and Tyrone makes his way to a cabin that he says belonged to a guy called Old Man Whistler. And he says that he wouldn't mind if he took a nap before the hoedown there, since he's in California. So you basically break into this old man's house. Okay, you must know him very well. Otherwise, trespassing on a whole new level to have a hoedown. So he gets off Harvey and leaves him by the tree. The other horses eventually show up, all saying close behind. And then the trio show up and find their horses. And they see Harvey also there, so they know Cowboy Tyrone probably close by. So they think he's locked up in the cabin. So they walk up, and Uniqua starts screaming at the door, shouting,
Bandit! Bandit! We
scaring
got you,
Tyrone
bandit!
awake enough to the point where he thinks they got the bandit caught on the porch. So he decides to sneak out the back door if that's a good idea. They already think you're. They already don't know you're the bandit. You probably shouldn't make it seem like he was already in there. So, after sneaking out and scaring them, they decide to all bust in because they think he's inside. I now. Because apparently, even Tyrone's that much of a fool. So, they bust in. He's not there. Well, the bandit's not there. Their bandit was never there, so they decide to call it a night, have their horses just eat the apples off the apple tree, light up the tree with the fairy lights that are on it, and start singing the final song. Buffalo Girls and Boys, sung to the tune of Buffalo Gals. As they get down and boogie throughout the night, their horses disappear halfway through the song. But yeah, all is well. Tyrone starts to twirl the lasso or jump rope. Uniqua recognizes it, and she finally gets her jump rope back. Tyrone's on stump. No. Oh, Uniqua's stomach growls, and Tyrone says he knows that sound from anywhere. So they decide to go home to Pablo's for cookies since Tyrone's all out of apples. And the western scenery turns back to the backyard as the episode ends off with Tyrone saying, Yahoo, so long, partners. And so ends Riding the Range. Okay, honestly, this episode, let me get it straight through. I love this episode completely. Horses are amazing animals. Like, I just love most cowboy episodes of series, and like, I actually wrote a story back in seventh grade based on the Backyardigans, but in this case, with some characters of my own that I'd use that would parody them. The story was called I don't actually remember, but it'll come back to me eventually. If I have the name eventually, I'll edit it in. But yeah, solid episode. First episode to bring in like animals that aren't Mormons, because like they're too cartoony for to be called like real animals. But like with horses, like for 2004, I'd have to say though they look kind of bad. At the same time, they look good. Like even if their reins are like floating over where they should be just resting. All right, so yeah, uh, firstly, I honestly think I like all the cowboy characters that we have and cowgirl. We have cowgirl Tasha and Uniqua, cowboy Tyrone and Pablo. This was like the first like good Tasha episode that we've had since the Snow Fort. I'd have to say, hey, honestly, I'm not really a fan of It's Great to Be a Ghost, and the Yeti can go burn. Honestly, in my opinion, that is. But yeah, was a pretty good character next to everybody else, and it's sad to think she only appeared in this episode for Austin to end up taking her place in Polka Palace Party, where the other three Opoke characters would be reused. Same with some of the horses. Even her horse princess didn't appear in that one. But yeah, once again, first time we actually get like horses, and they look pretty interesting. And I think my favorites are between Pal and Old Paints. And I think this is the first time food's actually been shown. I may be wrong. I think the Yeti showed raisins, but yeah. We have four songs this episode, and two of them were reprised. We had firstly "Riding the Range," solo sung by Tyrone, and then trio sung by Tasha, Uniqua, Pablo.
Riding the range, let's go riding the range, yahoo! Riding the range, let's go riding the range, yahoo!
Then we have "There's an Echo in This Canyon," sung by the trio.
There's an echo in this canyon.
Honestly, my favorite song of the episode, and honestly, I wish that this song was in the soundtracks at least. Because, like, this song, like, there are a lot of songs from the series that didn't make it into the soundtrack, which I wish did, compared to some songs which didn't really deserve their place in the soundtracks. Then we had Texas Here I Come and Texas Here We Come.
Once I crossed that Rio Grande, I'll find me a piece of Texas land. Stone justice we defend, Texas here we come.
Then finally, Buffalo Boys and Girls.
Cowboys, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Cowgirls, cowboys.
Honestly, out of all songs, if I had to rate them out of 5, Riding the Range honestly gets a 3. Texas is Here I Come. I'd have to say at least maybe a 3, 8.5. Buffalo Boys and Girls gets a solid at 4.5, and There's an Echo in This Canyon gets a 4. The only reason I give my favorite song a 4, honestly, it kind of states the obvious and repeats the chorus a little too much, honestly, in my opinion. Though it's real catchy if you listen enough times. This is the first and only episode to have the speaking roles play a major part in most of the songs, due to the fact that this episode was in the genre of hip hop for their music of the day. And for a hip hop hoedown episode, it was nice to see the speaking actresses and actors get their time to shine, and especially for or the trio. Like Zach Tyler Eisen really slayed as Pablo, especially since he also did Aang on Avatar, so you got Aang rapping over here. Haha, very funny. This is the first of three cowboy episodes in the series. The second being Polka Palace Party, and then the final of cowboy centric episodes, Blazing Paddles. And finally, I think I'd give this episode in general at least maybe a 9 or an 8.7. This episode was honestly pretty good. They didn't like overuse like Western lingo or like do anything too over dramatic like they would for Pirate Treasure and like R every few minutes. Like honestly, this episode was much better. Or if I could say one thing could change, like honestly, like what they did with Who Done It, which was a second season episode, they honestly could have done like one of those flashback things, like where like it's all blue, but like we actually see like what the characters saw for the flashback. Cause like I honestly kind of wanted to see like Tyrone actually like dipping his domes in the water, and see an old paint drop by, and we finally get to see him hop over and all that. Like that honestly be cool. But honestly, that's just my opinion. Next up is the Key to the Nile. See you then. Yahoo!
Now to get out of this canyon. There's an echo in this canyon.